Okay, tell me now. Well, greetings to all of you who are gathered to honor and remember a lady who never quit. Lord willing, as you view this video, Mary and I will be on our way to Africa, visiting with many of our workers there, and we would have loved to have been with you to thank you for the service that Gertrude rendered unrelentingly for the Lord. You know, recently we read in the EPI prayer guide these words: she didn't quit. But our dear sister Gertrude Harlow, co-founder of EPI, was relieved of further active service here on earth when she was called home in her sleep early in the morning of August 7th. It's those words, she didn't quit. How profoundly true. You know, over the years, our times of interaction with Gertrude were few, but we always came away encouraged by a lady who not only loved the Lord, but loved life. Indeed, the joy of the Lord was her bright and shining testimony. Quite frankly, this was never more evident when Mary and I were visiting Park of the Palms in Florida. We were there to spend time with a good friend.
We learned that Gertrude was a close neighbor of our friend, and so we made it a point to visit her. One of the things that surprised us as we entered, as I'm prone to do, wanted to give Gertrude a big hug. And she said, "Oh, please don't hug me. The last time somebody did, I had a bad fall. And so I just am not hugging anymore." Well, that might have been true. Her body was frail and she was not able to do very much outside of her home. But it was obvious that her mind wasn't frail. She was busy, hard at work with her translation work. And many of you will know the picture of her sitting in her chair and doing translation work. So when we knocked on the door and the door opened, we went in, we sat and had a lovely visit with her, a lady focused and hard at work.
And there she was. She was propped up on a lazy boy recliner with a tray-like fixture across her lap and a wireless keyboard. And then just feet in front of her was a large monitor, color monitor, and several reference materials on either side of her. It was clearly evident that Gertrude was engaged in an important work, doing her part for the ministry of EPI, knowing that in the days ahead, her contributions would be in the hands of others and pointing readers to the powerful and life-changing words of Scripture. She didn't quit, and there was no evidence that quitting was part of her future. Because it was during that same visit we learned that she was wanting to get her Canadian passport renewed, and it was bothering her because she was having difficulty finding a photographer to take the acceptable portrait for a Canadian passport. Knowing the frustration and the distress that she was experiencing, I offered to seek out information for her. So when we returned to CMML, I did research and found a photographer very near to Keystone Heights who was on the approved list to take the proper passport photos for a Canadian passport. And so I sent her the information. It was months later. She thanked us and informed us that she had received a new Canadian passport. But the amusing thing to us was that she renewed her passport for 10 years instead of the usual 5 years. It was really clear to us that she had no intention, although she was not able to travel, she had no intention of going through this process again in 5 years. No, she was planning ahead and loving her service for the Lord and the Lord's people. You know, we here at Christian Missions in Many Lands valued Gertrude because she took on responsibilities to keep those at Park of the Palms well informed of missionary happenings around the world. It was at regular intervals where Peg Hart would send Gertrude missionary letters for the Ladies Missionary Prayer Group at the park. And having served many years as a missionary herself, Gertrude had a missionary heart and made it a priority to stimulate and cultivate missionary awareness in others, as well as encourage prayer for God's servants. And so it's very right that today you're gathered together. It's appropriate that we remember a faithful friend, a tireless worker who is basking in the presence of the Lord whom she loves. And while we remember Gertrude as we do this day, we've got to believe that her desire is that we stay the course. And as we have therefore opportunity, let us do good unto all men, especially unto them who are of the household of faith.